What up, players? It's Warboss Tay up in this mode. Welcome to my appreciation vid, subscriber appreciation vid for Xefa, who took part in the July Painting Challenge this past summer, July 2013. And for his appreciation video, he wanted to take a look at the pre-Vlad army of Sylvania. And as you know, Vlad Von Carstein turned everybody into vampires and zombies and skeletons, but before he did, the Sylvanian ruling house were the Von Drax. So we're looking at an interesting kind of like pre-heresy is the equivalent in 40k army of how you would do this kind of army using the current range of Empire figures, how you could work a list with fluff. So I've written down a couple of ideas. I've filmed this video a couple of times actually over the last few months, kind of refining and revising my thoughts, and so this is the most complete version. I wanted to get it out because Xefa has been, you know, he was such a huge participant this past July Painting Challenge. For those of you who remember, he had something like 1,000 zombies and 1,000,000 skeletons and all sorts of stuff. So props to him, and I hope he continues to do videos on his channel. He said he was, and he had plans for continuing his channel. So this is for you, brother. So an Empire army, what is it going to look like? If you remember my last pre-Vlad Vampire Counts video, I talked a little bit about the color scheme. You can see here it's black and purple with red accents, slashes, and the main kind of overriding theme are kind of like dragons, I believe. And there's this figure, there's this maiden with the key, dragon on the shield she's holding there. Again, purple. Purple is a royal color. It's a very rich and regal color. So on many figures, you see that come from like a rich and wealthy, well-to-do province like Bogenhafen. Purple is a very, very well-used color. And yeah, so that's the color scheme. Here we see a great sword, militiaman, halberdier, and knight of the Sylvanian army. So what kind of troops would you have? Instead of going through a standard army list, which can change depending on the meta and new rules and new additions, I want to talk about how you would just build and convert your army. And if I ever get the chance to do anything besides doing, like, I'd love to do a tutorial for one of these troopers, then hopefully I can get a chance to do that. So how would you justify doing a list? This army existed before Vlad Von Carstein, and that means it was before the Great War Against Chaos, which meant that there were no imperial magic schools of wizardry. That means that if you have a wizard in your army, they are not formally recognized by the Empire, and I think at this time the witch hunters were hunting down anybody that could cast magic and kind of like executing them for witchcraft. So Sylvania, where this army was from, was known as a very dark, grim, brooding, spooky place. It's kind of like the equivalent of Transylvania in all the old Dracula books and novels. Very gothic, very grim, and baroque, and all of that good stuff that we love from those old horror kind of genres. So even this halberdier, look at him, look at it, look at his expression. Oh my gosh, he is not having a good day. He's like, I'm gonna die. I am going to die. All right, so let's start with him. Halberdiers, state troops, spearmen, swordsmen, militia guys, all of them are good. Good to have in your army, totally fine. Paint them up in Sylvanian colors, totally fine. What is not fine is handgunners. So you can have crossbows, crossbowmen did exist, but handgunners did not. And the way we work around that is either two things. You can either build your crossbowmen and paint them in such a way that they have some kind of just special crossbow or training that allows them to shoot farther and gives them the effects of having a handgun, and you just make sure that your opponent knows that before you, or when you place them on the table, just say, hey, these guys count as handgunners. Or the humans didn't have gunpowder weapons, but I'm not too sure. I have to double check my timeline and everything. But I think dwarves might have already have black powder and access to handgunners. So if that is true, then all of your artillery black powder needs are answered right there. You can include handgunners and just put as a champion or a unit filler or somewhere the dwarf kind of that's leading them, training them, because the dwarves at this time were trading and kind of had pretty okay relations with a lot of the human cities, states, and provinces. So you could justify by saying that this one dwarf engineer kind of broke away from the dwarf school of engineers and his dwarven hold, and maybe he got exiled and stuff, and so maybe he became known for dealing with humans and passing on the secrets of his handgunner technology and techniques. It probably wouldn't be the most accurate and precise fluff-wise, but that's the only way I can see of getting handgunners into your unit. If you want a purely fluff-driven Sylvanian army and you don't care how your army plays on the field, and then you would not have any handgunners in your army. That goes the same for cannons, Hellblaster volley guns, Hellstorm rockets. I mean, even the Hellstorm rocket and Hellblaster volley guns, those are Imperial creations. You could justify that the same dwarven engineer brought cannons and mortars and showed your army how to use them. Or you could also say that they're mercenaries, or this dwarven engineer from the Engineers Guild has been paid off by the Sylvanian lord that is the general of your army to share and impart his secrets. But yeah, Hellblaster volley gun and Hellstorm rocket battery. Those two are the ones that you're going to have a hard time figuring out how to justify having them in your Sylvanian pre-Vlad army. And that's just the limitations of technology at the time. Those are the only way that I could figure out how to work around them. Great swords. Those are great because they existed at the time. They were known as the Drakenhof Guards, and they were the elite of the elite. So you could have these guys in your army and just call them the Drakenhof Guard. What other units you might also have could be demigryphs. Now, I've heard and seen some great conversion ideas of demigryph knights in other armies. Like for a Middenheimer army, I saw a great example of a guy who converted, I think they were like Thunderwolf cavalry to be his demigryphs. So he took some Thunderwolf mounts, took off all of the robotic bits, and had Knights of the White Wolf figures riding them, and counted them as his demigryph knights, and just said that they were giant dire wolves that lived in the Middenland forest. The same could be said for the Sylvanian army. If you want to have demigryph knights, which you should because they're really, really good in this edition of the game, then you could justify having demigryphs that lived in the Sylvanian forest, or you could try and see if you could find a suitable alternative. I'm not sure what that would be. The wolves would be from Middenland, but yeah, I'm not sure what the spooky monster that lives in the Sylvanian forest would be. Knights of the Inner Circle, totally fine. They existed. And for wizards, the last thing I want to talk about is if you want to include a wizard, if you really, really want to, then there are certain ways you can go about those. Warrior priests are fine. Those existed. You can see that the Sigmar twin-tailed comet is still kind of present, if not totally, obvious. But the twin-tailed comet motif is still around. But you can see that there's dragons and there's skeletons and a lot of death and gothic imagery. So working in a wizard to your army could be done simply by saying that your noble, your general, your lord, has caught, or his local witch hunters or his local peacekeepers have caught a wizard that has been kind of operating in his province. And so by using threats, coercion, bribery, he had this wizard kind of, drafted or kind of chained to his army to kind of fight on the battlefield at his whim. And you got to remember that the Sylvanians, the Von Drax, they were known as being ruthless and cold-hearted and very uncaring. So this isn't your typical good guy Empire army. These guys are ruthless and they will do whatever it takes to win. So having a poor, terrorized wizard who was kind of minding his own business and trying to hide from the law be caught by these Drakenhof Sylvanian army people would be a appropriate thing for your army if you want to have a wizard. And you should. You should definitely have a wizard, especially if you want to bump them up. You can give them good buffs like Wissen's Wild Form. You can have a wizard studying the lore of beasts who was kind of hiding out in the forests and he got fleshed out. Or, all sorts of other wizard with the lore of death would definitely be appropriate. And some other ones, like the lore of metal, the lore of fire, you could just say that they were practicing hedge wizards who got found out and, yeah, like I said, drafted into the army. So there you go. Those are my thoughts on how to convert up a fluffy pre-Vlad Von Carstein army back when everybody was still human and before he revealed himself as the crazy vampire lord that he became known to be. Let me know if you have any other questions. Definitely check out Xefa's channel. I'll include the link below. I'm filming this with my phone right now, so this might not be for a little while, but I'll include his address. Check him out. Great guy. Really fun, nice long videos to play while you're painting. I know when he was taking part in the July painting challenge, a lot of his videos were nice to kind of sit and listen to him ramble through, which is kind of what I'm known for doing as well. So thanks for watching. We're going to call it here, and hope you guys have a great one.